Thanks for staying with us. So, it's Friday. We like to have those nice feel-good Friday topics. But we saw a story on social media that caught our attention. It was about taking permission. So there was a Twitter writer that was saying something about the fact that is it right for a wife to request permission, to take permission from her husband before she's able to go out or do certain things. And there was an argument back and forth. Others were saying that, no, all she needs to do is inform. Some were saying there's a difference between informing and taking permission. Some were saying you have to take permission. What are your thoughts? I mean, it's one of those nice Friday topics, but what do you think about it? You can call us on 08127053687, 09139076948. You can also tweet us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourView TVC so we can read your tweet. Informing or taking permission? Nima. I said Nima. Mariam.
I don't know about taking permission. I know about, informing and also being accountable to each other. So
don't change the nomenclature. Permission is what we're saying.
Okay, that's what I said. Permission does not work for me. I don't think we don't take permission from each other as adults, but we tell each other what our plans are, and then whatever plans we have, we need to be accountable to the other person. If I'm going out at a certain time, I should be able to say where I'm going and for what or when I'll be back, so that person just knows where I am, but not necessarily permission. Sir, Daddy, please, can I go to Mariah's house for the weekend? I mean, no. Permission is what kids ask of their parents, what younger people, but not spouses. We talk about things and then we'll see how it works for us. And then if compromises need to be made, and sometimes you ask for, you would tell your spouse about something you're willing to do, and they may not be for it, but they also understand that you as an adult, it lies on you to take make the final decision concerning, okay, you want to do this, I don't feel comfortable about this, this is how I feel about it, but you know you're an adult, you do what you need to do, and you also understand that there are consequences and whatever it is associated with whatever decision that you have to make. But to ask for permission, I don't think it's what adults ask for.
Okay, but there's a time we say loosely, oh, I usually your husband will allow you to do this. Actually, your husband will allow you. You know, these are so so it still goes back to when you say he will not allow you. That's permission. That's like, go and ask him to get his permission.
There are a lot of things you want to do that your husband will not allow you to do. What will you do?
So that's permission. You need to take permission. So you agree that
for me. So I wouldn't like to call it that, but it is what it is. I take permission from my husband. He takes permission from me as well. So if I have to do something, and there are some things that are not that we really don't need to sit down and discuss, that I can just say, hey, I'm stopping by at Miriam's after the show. Just want to spend time with her. I'll come back later in the evening. I'm not going to ask, should I stop by? Those are easy things. I'm just telling him, I'm informing him, because they are easy things. But I can't just wake up and say, I have this shoot I want to do, this project I want to do, and I'm taking so and so amount from that account, and I'm moving. I have to take permission for it. I have to discuss with him. Should I do this now? Where should I take the money from? And he's like, no, we don't have to do this right now. We have to talk about it later. Or you're not doing this. We have spent money. I've not seen it. You know. So they are, depending on the gravity of the issue, for those little excuses, little stepping out. If I have to go to your house now to spend the whole weekend, I have to take permission. I can't just say, pack my bag and say, I'm leaving.
See you next week.
Yeah, see you next week. I'll be at Mariah's, just have a girl's time and all of that. I have to take permission. And he can say, no, you're not going this weekend. No, I don't want you to go. I don't like Mariah. I don't want you to go.
That's the permission part.
That's permission. So at the end of the day, one way or the other, some of us, let me not generalize, will have to take permission because of the nature of the person we are in.
But if you're in that shoes,
relationship with.
You want to just spend the whole weekend in Mariah's house.
You just come to my
Wouldn't you just take permission like, I want to go for a
So
whole
that's
weekend?
why I said it's not permission that I take. I'm
looking for a synonym.
I've seen the permission here.
The action of officially allowing someone to do a particular thing, consent or authorization.
Yeah.
That's permission.
I'm authorizing you to go to Maria's house for the weekend.
No. You don't authorize me.
But you can't just say you leave. You have kids in the house. You can't just say I'm up and gone.
Well, now you're putting it in context, and it's still not about permission. As I said earlier, it's still about just informing the other person of what you're planning to do, and then you talk about how everything else factors into that particular decision, and you understand the consequences of going ahead with that decision and the benefits of it. So it's still not permission, because permission will be I determine yes or no whether you do anything. Full stop.
No, I always tell you,
that's permission.
Wait, yeah.
That is authorization. I've come to you. I want to do this. I determine yes or no. Simple.
Yeah, that's permission.
No conversation.
Yeah.
That's permission.
Yeah.
But that is not what we do.
Okay,
What we have is we are accountable to each other. We ask of each other what we're going to do, and accountable in such a way that we look at everything and how it would play out concerning that decision. But in the end, the decision of yes or no it lies with me. It is not on the other person. And that's why sometimes, even remember the joke I was telling, the story I gave you about the sauce that my husband buys and keeps in the house. Yeah. And when we talk about some of the things that we should eat or how we should eat, in the end, he will say to me, after a while, he will say, see, I'm not your child. Your children, you can do this with. You can determine yes or no what they eat, what they don't. I'm an adult. I will make that decision for myself. Whatever the consequences are, I will bear them. So that is not taking permission. That is understanding we're accountable to each other. But I know that in the end, I make that decision for myself.
May I ask a question quickly? Have you ever said you wanted to do something and he wasn't comfortable with it and says no?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, yeah, he has to reason with you.
In the end,
but leave reason. Do you now change your mind and
not just because he doesn't like you, but because I put everything else into consideration. So it still remains my prerogative, it still remains on me to decide whether I'll go ahead with it or not.
After he has said he doesn't like it.
Yes, okay. Yeah. So there must be a reason. It's not just a no.
No. Yeah. Even those people who you take permission from, they don't just say no.
There is a So for example,
for so and so reason, I'm not comfortable with this thing. I'm not. Let
me use my own story as an example. Before marriage, I used to travel. I'll go to Dubai. I go to the UK. Yes, I couldn't go to the US, but I love to travel. And when I got married, my husband said, this is your gallivanting. Let us stop. Because we're trying to build a family. We're trying to raise kids. No more traveling. So since I've been married to Brown for like 11 years or so, I've not traveled out of this country. And it's because he's just feels like marriage. Now he's gradually warming up to the fact that, okay, that's it. But people have offered me to travel. He's like, no, you can't go anywhere. Because in his own mind, he's like, we don't have the resources now. We are trying to buy a house. Then we're putting money together. Don't travel, because if you travel, you're going to be using our expenses, our funds, our resources.
So let me tell you the difference with that, what you've just said. Let me see if I can separate both. So he says that to you, and you say to him, I have the resources to go by myself. And you go. And it's not a problem because he knows it's not a permission issue. It's because we were talking about resources to go, and now we found the resources for her to go, and she can go. Permission is, I don't care even if you've got these resources, you're going nowhere.
Because even if I left, if I travel, I choose to agree. Because if I insist that I'm going, he won't put a gun to my head and say you're not going anywhere. So yeah, I hear you. But let me take okay, I thought I had a comment here. But you see, the argument on social media is that modern families, when I say modern, younger people are getting married today, and they are struggling. And their spouse says, no, you cannot do this. And they find it so wrong and totally out of place to be told no. But are we also trying to help them understand that this is part of marriage? Sometimes you get a no. It doesn't mean that you are being controlled, but you are also negotiating, or you're also giving and taking. You're also sacrificing what you want for the greater good, or for the family needs.
It's about using wisdom. There is nothing I have wanted to do that I have not done.
Yeah.
Even when I get, because for me the no's are just, you want me to market it to you. You want me to, go back to the drawing board and write my proposal properly and prove to you that I can do it. And what I do in those, cases where I get a no, not like I get an outright no, of course not, but you're like, now, do you think we can do this now, and all those things. And for me, that one is a no. I go back and wait another time, give myself time. So let me give you an instance. My husband never wanted me to get into acting. I've always loved to act. I started acting at 16. But, you know, when we started dating, it was like every other thing, you know. But you see this acting, one of the reasons I don't want it is because of the lifestyle of the actors. They are not able to hold a home together from what we see with our celebrities. And I don't want that. I want to have a life with you. I want to, you know, grow old with you and all of that. This acting, I'm not very sure about this industry. The modeling, I know, I follow you for auditions and all that. But you see this acting, but I knew in my mind that I was going to act. It's something that pushes me and drives me, and I knew I would get it. So I calm down. After a few years again, I'll throw the matter up, like, but you know now. And I lost my job, and then I was depressed. And, well, okay, so what's the next thing? I said, I want to try that audition now.
And then he was willing to accept.
And he was willing to. Okay, all right, go. Now, he was willing to because, according to his explanation, he said, you're not going from a place of desperation. You're going from a place of, this is your passion. So if you get on set and somebody says, okay, we have to sleep with you, or you know you can take a walk, you're not hungry, you just want it. And so he said, it's time for you to go because right now I know you can hold your own. And I went, and I still got it. So for young people now, it's not about giddy, 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 giddy. I must have my way. You cannot, how dare you not? It's to present your matter. And for him too. So for him, he can't buy anything without asking me to sign off on. He can't buy a pair of shoes without asking me to sign off on. So it works for both of us. So if you are married to somebody who wants you to just tell me everything you want to do before you do it so that I can prepare my mind, we can plan together. There are ways that you can use wisdom to find it, you know, respond to it. You can say, okay, come back another time. Just, we had a way as women to play around some of those things. But that argument of, you cannot tell me what to do and all, it doesn't work.
All right, so let me go on a quick break. When we come back, we continue. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we're talking about authorization, informing, or taking permission in marriage. That's the confusion that's going on social media. And somebody sent a message here saying that the only reason why modern women refuse to take permission is because they are also breadwinners with their husbands. And if they're married to richer men, they would definitely seek permission. So there's also a perspective that, it's because we are both bringing in, so why would I ask you if I want to go? I want to travel, I'm going out. But if he's the only one that is bringing in the bread and you are at his mercy, maybe you humble yourself and say, please, sir, you know how that woman knelt down beside her husband? I would like to travel to Mariam's house next week. Please, can you give me flight tickets? I want to travel. You know, so that's what this this person is saying.
I disagree.
So,
okay, you wanted to?
Yes, please. So, of course, like we always say here, you know, if there's respect in any form of any type of relationship, marriage, friendships, whatever it is, conversations are a lot easier because you know you're coming from a place of mutual respect. So I looked up accountability because I've used the word already a few times, and it's accountability is an acceptance of responsibility for honest and ethical conduct towards others. So I'm accountable to you, accountable to me. I'll be honest in my dealings with you. I'll be respectful in my dealings with you, and vice versa. And that is the sort of relationship we should have with our friends, and in this case, as we're talking husband and wife. Whatever conversations we're having about anything it is that we want to have, it comes from a place of honesty and a place of respect. So when I'm saying, this path that you're on, this thing that you want to do, I don't get it. I'm not really for it. I understand that this person is saying it from a place of honesty and respect. And also for my interests. I don't see how this works for us. Then it's my place to explain to the person. And then, in the end, the other person understands that the final decision lies with me, knowing that I'm coming also from a place of honesty and respect and for the good of the family. So once that is settled, a lot of conversations we would not even need to argue about.
Let me take this call from Ade and I'll come to GBC. Ade from London, good morning, are you there?
Good morning. Happy New Month to you, ladies.
Happy New Month.
My contribution is this. Remember, when you are in your parents' house, you can't go out without taking permission from them. And a man now comes that he wants to marry you, pay necessary dues, prostrate before your parents, your family now hand over you to that man. That man automatically is your acting parent. So there's no way you can go anywhere without taking permission. Because if anything happens to you, They are going to hold that man responsible. That you are the husband. Where did your wife go? Will the man now be saying that I don't know? So you have to take permission. It's not about arrogance or whatever. This is the reason some guys doesn't want to marry. People who are too exposed, have too much exposure, or in a high-ranking job because of this reason. Because men like it. You must take permission. It doesn't mean you are a slave or whatever. You must take permission from your husband for your own protection. Yeah. You need his blessing for wherever you are going. Because it's your husband. He has paid you.
Fantastic.
Okay. Amos 3:3. Can two work together except they agree? What I see when it comes to informing and permission is that we must agree before an action is carried out. That's why we're playing for the same team. Don't just inform. So let me use myself, for instance. I won't be happy if, as I'm sitting here, Oga just calls me that I'm heading to the airport. I have to be in Abuja for the weekend. I'll see you next week. He has informed me. I won't be happy if it happens to me. And so I don't expect him to be happy if I just pick my bag and say I'm going. Because the truth is, there's always a thin line between what is good for the family, what is the greater good. We've seen women who, over the years, they are back to back, traveling, leaving their home at the mercy of the kids, the help and everything, just because they can up and go, and without taking proper, and you think the men are happy. The men are not happy. But, well, probably the woman is making more money, and, well,
she's meeting with governors and MDs.
She her career and all that. And on the long run, you see how those sort of marriages pan out. But if you sit down and have a conversation, I'm going to so-so and so-so place, and you agree, you say, okay, this place you are going to right now, do you think is the right time? Do you think you can keep it? Do you think you can go? Just have that conversation out of respect and find yourselves on the same page before you take that action. That's where my problem is. So if you feel, okay, after I've explained to you, you have told me you don't want, I've told you I want, you've told me you don't want, I told you I want, you should allow me to now do that thing that does not make you happy. I think that's where we are beginning to miss it.
Let me take it from morning, from are you there? I'll come to Mr. Theo in a minute.
Yes, I'm here. Good
yes,
morning.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Okay, I want to really thank the last caller from London for what he said.
Yes.
Because most times marriages now fail because we don't get to know the principles. Hello?
We can hear
you. Can you reduce your TV volume?
Okay. I really want to thank the last caller from London that said something about taking permission from your husband before you go out, because he is like your head. I mean, we work and we are in several establishments, and we obey our superiors. We take permission from them. It's not out of place for us to also obey our husbands. And we see it as being recognized while we are doing this thing. And we find out that the Western people that we have copied, breaking out of marriage and getting married again, and now it has become a norm that people don't respect their husband. Yeah. If we do that, we are teaching our young daughters to also do the same thing. That was what we learned from our parents. That was what we learned from our mothers. I don't see the reason why a woman cannot take permission from her husband before doing anything. It's only pride to captain in any boat.
Right.
We all have our place. We are the neck, and he's the head. And if we're able to turn that neck gently, the head will be up.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ifeoma. Fantastic. Let me bring in Mr. Theo Akatuba in this conversation. Mr. Theo, are you there?
Yes, I'm right here.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us. Listen,
this beautiful morning.
Yes, this is trending on social media, and it's because a lot of young people feel that they've passed that stage of asking for permission, that, you know, we're modern, where we have mutual respect for each other. If I need to go, I got to go. Do I need to start asking for permission? What do you say to people like that?
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. What I want to say is that the young ones are learning from the wrong places. Those who are teaching them are causing them heartache and pains. Yeah. Marriage, it's a creed, it's an institution designed by God Almighty for the enjoyment of man, for man to progress, for man to have peace. But they are bringing in doctrines of devils into the marriage institution. Jesus. For a Christian who married properly, authority of your husband is a spiritual requirement. If you do not recognize it, your marriage is less than acceptable in the divine realm. There are secular marriages, marriages of those who are unbelievers. They will argue with one another and speak English of mutual respect. The word mutual respect is not to mean that you do not recognize the authority of one another. I say marriage is a privilege, and the things we do there is a privilege. So husband is the head of the marriage, meaning is in authority. If for any reason he withholds permission from a woman, and a woman does not accept it, it means she's not submissive to him. So taking permission from your husband is a recognition of his authority.
Interesting.
Interesting. So, okay, I just wanted to, clarify a few things. So, BT mentioned that when you take permission, or if you don't take permission, you just inform, or someone calls you from the airport, I'm off. What I am saying is that you take account, you're accountable to each other. Meaning, I will call you and let you know of my trip to that airport, because of my trip to the airport and where I'm going, and give you the reasons why. And you may be uncomfortable with it, but it would not necessarily stop me from taking that. But I have been accountable to you. You understand what I'm doing and why I am doing it. Full stop. It is not the same as saying, I'm not going to inform the person, I'm not going to talk to the person, I'm not going to tell the person anything, I do not respect the person. Accountability is even much more, it comes from a place of
higher level of respect.
Yes, higher level of respect than permission. Permission is authoritative, dictatorial. I am putting it on you whether you like it or not, whether it benefits you or the whole whether it benefits you or does not benefit you, or whether it benefits you or the whole family. I do not want you to do it no matter what.
Right.
That is permission. Accountability is that if you both agree to do it. I guess maybe it's really English word, but for me, this is how I understand it. And it's important also, one more thing, just to clear it. With children, there's a point where your children, they will say something. You say, no, you can't do this. No, I refuse for you to do this. And like, why, mommy? You live under my roof. I pay the bills. You do that. But there's an age a child will reach who will not come and ask for your permission. The most you would do as a parent is to advise. Because you've already trusted, you've raised this child enough to understand values, and you respect the child that has been brought up in your home to make some decisions for themselves, even if at that point you don't understand it and you don't totally agree with, but they're adults enough to make that decision for themselves.
Okay, Mr. Akatugwa, would you like to respond to that?
Okay, there is something I'd like to clear there. She's speaking as she's informing her husband as a means of accountability. A wife does not inform a husband of her action, especially any action that requires her going out of a secured or a controlled area, or area out of the view of the husband in which she will interact with others. If a wife does not ask, if you just inform him, that's not what you call accountability. That's not what you call respect. Respect means you seek his permission, especially when you are going to undertake activities for which he will be held responsible if anything goes wrong. Because you are moving, making a trip, visiting someone, being away from where he is in control. If you just tell him with the expectation that he must approve, you will be acting wrongly, because when he tells you by spiritual influence that, my wife, I don't want you to go that place. Your husband is the head. God influences him to lead the home. There are times you might think what you're about to do is the best, but God will lay it upon him as the man in authority to act. For example, in the story of Lot, when God wanted to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, he went and sent the angels to speak to Lot, not to the wife. And when Lot wanted to speak to his son-in-laws, he didn't speak to the daughters. God spoke to the husband, Lot, and told Lot what to tell his wife. That is how God works. So a lot of women today think the knowledge that we have is what we use. No, God is involved in our lives. And he has put a man authority to preside over his family for the good of the family. So let us not think that...
Mr. Theo, let me stay with you for a second. So can we also flip it, where a man should take permission also? Because, listen, I'm supposed to be taking care of him. I'm like his so-called mother or so, his wife and his whatever, his neck, right? So he should also take permission from me before he goes out, shouldn't he?
I agree with you that the word permission means A man is not taking permission in the true sense because you might not be able to withhold decision from him. You are not in authority to tell him not to go.
You've entered the net, you shouldn't go, Mr. Theo Akatugba. Let us start again. Let me rephrase my question. Maybe you didn't understand.
He's able to veto your decision. That's why he's not a figurehead. He is a spiritual head. He is the head as Christ is the head of the church.
Yes, sir.
He's not just a head how society think he's the head. He is head in a spiritual form, meaning God will hold him accountable. You cannot prevent. When Abraham told Sarah, we are moving, Sarah did not say don't. God does not expect Abraham to take permission. When he said sacrifice Isaac, he did not consult the wife. We are living in a world where secular behavior appear to be our faith. Let us be a bit mindful.
Okay, let me pause you for a second. Let me get a few more questions for you, Mr. Theo.
I've agreed with you for the longest time till this moment. Now, one of the reasons why we have this young generation not want to understand taking permission is because they feel they are at a disadvantage. They are at a disadvantage. They feel because it's a patriarchal system, everything has to be the man. The man will say, the man will authorize, the man would have lived through my parents' home. I'm now entering my husband's house, and then I still need him to tell me what to do, what not to do. And so they run away from it. Now, I personally take permission for every action that I want to take. You know why it's easy for me? Because he takes the same permission for every action he wants to take. So I see it as it's a normal thing. Before I do this, I'll let him know. We'll talk about it. We'll agree. He gives me his blessings. Before he does his, we discuss it. I give him. And so far, he has helped me avoid falling into pit holes that would have hurt me. And I've also helped him avoid falling into pit holes that would have hurt him. Like, thank God you told me not to go on that trip. Oh, thank God you told me not to do this. So it's the balance is there. And that's why it's fun for me to say, I will take permission. I take permission because it's working. But there are women who we know that their husbands do not naturally want their good, will not let them do things that will uplift them. And you keep wanting them to take permission because the man is supposed to be the head. How do we separate that, sir?
Well, it is unfortunate to say that there is a man who doesn't want the good of his wife. It means that she's married to the devil. A man is to love his wife. And when you love a woman, you want her good. But if they fall into a situation where the man doesn't want her good, the man might have been prevented from wanting her good for obvious reason or spiritual reason. But permission from your husband is not conditioned upon whether he likes you or doesn't like you. The mere fact that you accepted his lordship, his headship over you, is enough. Marriage is a marriage of two people where one is head, one is a subject. The wife is subject to her husband, and that she should obey her husband so that the word of God is not blasphemed. I'm reading to you the Bible. The Bible says in Ephesians chapter 5, verse 33, that a wife should defer to her husband at all times and see to it that she respects him. So if a man gives an instruction,
Mr. Akatugba, I get that. I think we've been taught this all our lives. Trust me, every woman learned this. Yeah, but there's a point I want. There's a point I want us to focus on, sir.
Okay.
There's a point I want us to focus on because you said something. Yes, we understand this issue of lordship. He's a head. No doubt about that. But we found that today there are lots of lords of marriages who are leading their marriage in the wrong path, where they are bad leaders, where they are bad decision makers. Their marriages are going south because of their wrong decisions. So in that situation, a lot of women have come to step up. Now they're working more, 2 jobs, 3 jobs. They're actually the ones, the breadwinners in their homes. In this situation, in this regard, how, therefore, does a woman who needs, he's the head of the house, but in today's times, you find a lot of women are finding it struggling to take permission from a man who hasn't shown leadership. Respect is something you earn. So that man doesn't have that respect. How do you take permission from somebody that is just lazing around?
Amen. Does not have sense.
This is you see the point of making a decision to be a wife. It has been said that it's one of the most critical decisions of a woman's life, and it should not be trivialized or trifled with. A lot of women dance into marriage. They do not watch and take cognizance of who they are marrying. If you have a husband who seems to have fallen below the standard of respect, God says you can only win him over by your good conduct, not by disobedience, by antagonism. God did not bless you in order to disobey his word. If a woman doesn't respect her husband, the person blasphemes the word of God. And God cannot elevate you with wealth to begin to disobey your husband. The blessings of God bring joy. It doesn't make a woman to be divorced. So a lot of women who are today, don't let husbands think that when a woman is financially okay, she's now in a position to antagonize and fight.
Yeah.
Otherwise, many men will block their wife's progress. A woman is set for blessing. A woman can be blessed to be the richest woman in the world, the richest person in the world, so long as she's not such that we endanger or blaspheme the word of God. So non-Christians might not understand what I'm saying. Unbelievers might think that doing what you like and using knowledge and PhD or a master's degree and financially better to be determining who's head of home. They soon cry. They soon cry, you know, they cry.
Okay, let me get it from you.
So for me, this makes my point about permission, where it is determined whether it's beneficial to the family or not, and the part of accountability and respect. Because with permission, it is even conditional, where it is about, oh, if I make more money than my husband, if I have the master's and PhD degrees that you keep referring to, if I have got all these things much better than my husband, why should I now take permission from him? But the way accountability works is not about how much more I have more than my husband or my husband has more than me. It's mutual respect. We're in a team and we're working together for our good. And so no matter where you are financially, no matter who it is that brings in more money, we will sit down together and discuss this decision we're about to take with respect, with mutual respect for each other, understanding that in the end, this must benefit both of us. And so I stand on the part of accountability anytime and any day. And you know what? When we try to make example of modern people and how they are making their decisions, we should not take the good qualities and make it look like that is the cause of bad behavior, or that should be a punishment, should come with punishment. To constantly refer to someone being educated, has PhD, as finally they will get theirs, I think that it sends the wrong message, because there are powerful Christian women who have PhDs and all over the world, and they are still good, accountable wives to their husbands.
Look, you gave me an example. You mentioned that the woman is able to, she provides for her, she has money. You see, that's what I'm saying. Let us discuss what the responsibility is, the role of husband and wife, and why they call a husband a head. Today's generation misunderstand it. They are doing vice versa. They are doing what's good for the goose, good for the gander. So marriage is challenged. The husband is a spiritual being. The wife is a spiritual being. They understand their roles. Once something is wrong, they understand. Even if they are speaking known and understandable language, their spirit speaketh the truth. And they know that I am husband, you are wife. This word is spiritual. And God demands that without respect, a man will be confused. Without love, a woman will be confused. So a man is to love. Accountability is different from permission. Accountability is anything I'm doing, I will let my wife understand why I do it. It's different from respect and permission. Permission is, I want to do this. You feel it's good, but the husband says, I feel it's not good. Please do not. That decision is a veto of your choice. How you accept it is what you call the quality of your submission. So we accept it readily and easily. Others, we accept it with grudge and resentment. Others will disobey. There are different levels of submission.
Interesting.
Interesting. That's awesome. Also, you mentioned, you kept comparing unbelievers and believers, but I beg to differ, because I have seen the people we call unbelievers who have been able to hold their home for years. Like they have had a very flourishing marital relationship. And for me, it's about the fact that the sun shines on both the man and woman, the just and evil, the wicked and the good, the same way the moon. So there are certain marriage laws of the universe that whether you are a Christian or a Muslim or a traditionalist or a nothing, if you follow those laws of the universe, you will still have a beautiful marriage. So when you kept comparing unbelievers, and I think for me, it just speaks to everybody is not a Christian. So take, for instance, you're giving me this advice and I am not a Christian. How would you advise me that I am not a Christian on how to either submit or take permission or not take permission, removing Christianity right now, sir?
Thank you very much for that. The word unbeliever refers to those who believe in a supreme God who has handed us down this institution. In the Quran, they are believers. In Hindu, they are believers. I'm talking of those who believe in secularity. People tell me they don't believe in divinity. They don't believe in any regulation, that we are a product of sperm and egg and we just were produced. What I'm saying is the word unbeliever means those who believe in the origin of marriage and the creator and his manual. I'm sorry if I use the word just Christian. Unbeliever there means those who do not accept any standard outside of themselves. A husband and wife say we don't believe in any influence other than what two of us are speaking to ourselves. So we are using argument of law, knowledge. Like a wife is telling the husband is speaking. No one is recognizing that out of these two voices, one is a final authority, because no matter how compromising a husband and wife, there will be a point where there will be disagreement. Who then takes the final vote?
Fantastic. We have to go on a break. When I come back, we'll continue this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So I am told we have a caller. Mr. Churchill, good morning. Are you there?
Good morning to you, Morayo. Good morning to the rest of you there.
Good morning.
I'm still here. What an interesting topic.
Yes.
Well, I'm a second-time caller.
Welcome to
I
the
was not
show.
asked for yesterday when I called, and I'm not happy with that.
Oh, so we didn't
So
We didn't hear.
It's an interesting topic today.
Yes.
You understand? And I want to make my contribution.
Okay.
Please, I want to say, first of all, that a man... Thank you so much. I want to say that a man should not be an autocratic husband.
Thank you.
Even though we believe, you understand, that the man is the head of the home. Are you hearing me clearly, please?
We can
Very
hear you.
clearly. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Even though we believe that the man is the head of the home according to the holy books, yes, it is true. The man is the head, but the man should not be autocratic. You know what I mean by autocratic? Yes. I'm a government teacher. I teach government too, even though I teach history. History is my major passion. That's my major subject. But I've learned about history and government that autocracy does not work well in any way. It's never the best, and it will never be the best form of government. You understand? A man should be a listening husband. He should not just stop his wife from going to a particular place where the wife wants to go if there is no clear-cut and understandable reason. You know, some men have abused this opportunity. I don't want you to go there. Don't go. You must not go. Okay, what is the reason?
Nothing.
What is the reason? The man should be able to make his wife understand the reason. And the reason should not be a selfish reason. I really applaud the pastor that has been speaking since. He brought the biblical point of view to it and the biblical angle to it, that the man is the head of the home and the woman must always seek permission from the husband. Yes, it is true. But whereby in a case the woman seeks permission from the husband and the man has no clear, understandable, good reason for which he doesn't want the wife to go. You understand what I'm saying? And then the woman feels, then automatically he has turned the woman to a slave. I'm a man also. I understand, I'm a man also, and I understand the woman being point of view. I'm not saying the man point of view, the woman being point of view, because women too are human beings.
Thank you.
Exactly. Thank you very much, Mr. Churchill.
Thank you.
You know, yes, I was going to... Mr. Theo, are you still there?
I am here with you.
So let me give you an example. So a woman who is making a lot of money, she's trying to make investments for the family. The husband maybe doesn't have a very good job. And she's saying, okay, we have this amount of million naira. I want to invest in this property so that we can make money for our kids' school fees. And he says no. And his reason is because, listen, he wants to buy a new car for himself. He needs a car that he can't afford. So he's making bad decisions. But she is the wife. And she's saying, we need to invest this money for our children's school fees. In that kind of situation, does she resist herself from going further with the investment because she hasn't gotten the permission to do it? Or does she just do it regardless?
I also have a few more examples just to add so that you can answer all at once.
I want you to add one more example so you can add
a couple of examples that we've discussed on this table, just so that it's more relatable to people. We've discussed a situation where a woman got married, and a few months after they got married, she got a better paying job, almost, I think, 5 times what he earned. And he did not want her to take that job. It would have meant them moving from where they were, but it was going to help them immensely. And his reason was that he is the head of the house. She could not be earning more than him. In that situation, what is she supposed to do, as he is the Lord and head of the home? And we have another one we discussed here, of almost similar to yours. A woman was trying to build a house. He did not like the fact that she was the one that had the resources to make those investments on behalf of the family, and he said she should stop. And in that case, there was a conversation. As the lordship and headship that he stands for, what should she have done in that case?
Thank you very much for this beautiful question. Let me take the first one. The decision of the man is very, very unwise, the one of buying a car. Still, the money belongs to the woman. She should keep the money in the bank and do not go ahead with the investment that she has not been permitted to do, so that the friction and the problem will not continue. She should stay action, but do not release the money to buy a car for personal use, a car that will be a liability. She should continue to pursue the husband while the money continue to enjoy more proceeds in the bank. But she should not go ahead and disobey the husband. That's one. And second, the man who said the wife cannot progress because he too is not progressing, that is a very negative picture, very bad man. You see, all of these problems are always resolved when you observe the man you are marrying very well and you have good conversation. But haven't been in the marriage and this comes. The woman is unfortunate that the man is depriving his own family of progress because of his own condition. In that respect, the woman, you see, let me tell you, there's a thin line. Disobedience of a husband, the result and the problem might not be today. It might be 10 years, 5 years' time. A man is always going to look for an excuse to punish or fight his wife for disobedience. And when he brings it to the public court, he disobeyed me. That's why this happened. People will tend to believe. So I like to say that that one is very unfortunate. I do not know. I feel the wife should take the job and find family members to persuade the husband to understand. Maybe she's not very good when she's financially better. Maybe the man is afraid of her conduct, that she's somebody that once money comes into her hand, she mistreats or disregards the husband. Let us also check what is her character in wealth, in prosperity. Then the last one talks about the building of a house, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Is that about building of a house?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah. A man that prevents his wife from making progress because of fear that the woman will become better and bigger than him, such a man has a deep spiritual problem. The prosperity of a wife should not threaten or disturb a husband. If the wife has been seen to be such that we remain submissive, irrespective of our prosperity. We have great women today in our society. The wealthiest black woman, the wealthiest, a lot of very big board. We have Okonjo, we have a lot of them. We have Lolala. We have stories of women who have achieved pinnacle of their success, and they remain good examples of it.
Sir.
And I think that this is what matters. So I believe success of a woman will never be a threat to a man to the extent of stopping her because you do not know the destiny you have married into.
All right, Mr. Theo.
So what I hear now is when the man says, I need this money for the car, and you know that it's not for the good of the family, you should stay the action. Is that not disobedience? That's one. Because he has asked you to give... No, wait, sir, let me land. He has asked you to give him money to buy the car. And you say, no, this is for investment. And he's insisting. And then you decide to keep the money. You're not investing. You're not giving him for the car. Isn't this disobedience? That's one. Secondly, what I get from you is that women should... work best on the situations that they have. So everybody's supposed to use their brain. If unfortunately you are married to a stupid man, you need to devise a way to go around it. So there are no blanket rules in disobedience and permission from your explanation, sir.
No, there are wisdom. Everything is wisdom. Even we as human beings, we have used wisdom to disobey God. God said, do not have sex before marriage. But you have used some wisdom once in a while. You've had sex and then later you confirm marriage. Some got pregnant. So let us know that there is wisdom in everything. You remember the story of Naboth, the woman Abigail, that the husband was behaving foolishly. She went ahead to defend the husband and told David that the husband was a fool. But she never told the husband to his face that he was a fool. She acted wisely, protected the husband, and averted danger. But in the meantime, the husband did not regard her as disrespectful. You have to use wisdom.
Okay, I gotta go. Thank you, Mr. Katugba. You have the answer to everything, but no problem. We have to wrap up. Thank you very much, Mr. Katugba, for joining us this morning. It was a pleasure having you on the show.
Use wisdom for your
Let's go on a break now. When we come back, we're going to bring in our guest. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.